Hello, students. Welcome to yet another interesting session of English. In today's video, we are going to talk about the story, the chapter number 1 of your literature reader book, that is, When Wishes Come True. We have already covered up this lesson in the live classes, so we are going to have a recap of the same in this video. The story is written by Rabindranath Tagore, about whom it's given on page number 15 of your book. It says that Rabindranath Tagore, he was born in 1861 and died in 1941, was a Bengali poet, philosopher, playwright, artist, composer, and novelist. He was the first Indian who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1930. The story has been adapted in-house. Now children, this story, When Wishes Come True, written by Rabindranath Tagore, talks about the wishes that one makes in his or her life. Now the main characters, if we talk about the characters of the story, the main characters are Subal Chandra, who is the father, and Sushil Chandra, who is the son. Right. Now, the story emphasizes on the concept that people might not always justify the meaning of their names. Okay, it means that the people might be opposite to the meaning of the names that they have. If we take the example of the characters in the story, for example, Subal Chandra. Subal means the strong one. So, the father in the story was not a strong one. He was rather an old, weak man. Whereas Sushil Chandra, Sushil means gentle and quiet. So, we have already seen in the chapter that the boy, the son, Sushil, was not at all gentle and quiet. Instead, he was very mischievous, right? When the story begins, we see that how the son Sushil used to drive his entire neighborhood mad. He used to make people in his neighborhood mad because of his naughty behavior, because of his mischiefs. Right? Now the story begins on a Saturday. Right? Sushil was not in a mood to go to school. Now, the story starts on a day, Saturday, when Sushil was not in a mood to go to school. He didn't wish to go to school. Now, why didn't he want to go to school? There were two reasons for that. The first reason was that he had a dreaded geography test which he did not wanted to take. Okay, and the second reason was that there was a display of fireworks at his neighbor's place. There was some neighbor, Mr. Bose, at Bose's place. There was a firework and he wanted to attend all the preparations there. So these were the two reasons why Sushil didn't want to go to school. So he wanted to share with his father that he didn't want to go to school. So he thought of making an excuse. So he told his father that, Father, I have a terrible stomach ache, so I won't be going to school today. But father understood that it was nothing but one of the excuses made by Sushil of not going to school. He understood that Sushil didn't want to go to school. That is why he is giving excuses of not going to school. He understood the trick of his son, and he thought that since his son is making an excuse for not going to school, he will be teaching a lesson to his son. Now, what did the father think of doing for teaching a lesson to his son? He asked the son to stay in bed. The father said to him, okay, fine, if you are not well, then don't dare you move out of your bed today. Okay, you have to be in the bed for the entire day. He prepared a bowl of bitter brew. Now, bitter means something which is not good in taste, and brew is a kind of drink, a medicinal drink given for some purpose when you are not well. Okay, then he locked him in the room. The father locked him in the room for the day and forced the brew down his throat. The father instructed him not to move out of the room and he forced the brew down his throat. It means forcefully he made the child drink that brew. Okay, this made Sushil really upset, and he entire day burst into tears, and he wept buckets. Now here figure of speech is there, right, to show exaggeration, that he cried for the whole day, that it was similar to the bucket full of tears, right? Then when Sushil was crying, he told himself that if I could be as old as my father, I would be able to do whatever I wanted to. Now Sushil is thinking that had he been like his father, had he been in the age of his father, he would have been independent, he would have enjoyed the freedom, right? And on the other hand, the poor father Subal Chandra, he also thought that my parents pampered me so much when I was young, and I also want to be in the age of my son so that I could study very hard, because at that time he was not able to study well because he was a pampered child. So both the father and the son had some of the other wishes. Father wanted to become like son, and son wanted to be in his father's age. And when both father and son were thinking about this, the goddess who grants wishes was passing by. She heard both of them, and she granted them their wishes. She told Subal that tomorrow morning you will be as young as your son. And to Sushil she said that from tomorrow you are going to be as old as your father. So listening to this, both the father and son were extremely delighted. Then both father and son got what they wished for. So next morning when they woke up, they found themselves to be in the age that they wanted to be in. As father got up early morning the next day, earlier he was not able to get up, but the next morning when he became young, he was full of energy, he was bubbling with energy, and he immediately jumped out of the bed. Whereas Sushil, who was very active in his childhood, was unable to get out of his bed. He saw that there was salt and pepper mustaches and beard all over his face, and he also found that his head was bald, he was hairless, he had no hair on his head. Now, though both father and son were extremely happy about the fact that their wishes have been fulfilled, but they both did not think of the consequences, about the complications that will take place if they change their age. Sushil, who earlier used to think that had he been in his father's age, if he becomes like his father, he will enjoy that independence, he will have the freedom to go out with his friends, he can climb trees, he can go for swimming in the pond, and he'll do anything and everything that his heart desired for. But actually, when Sushil became like his father, he had no desire to climb trees. He did not wish to go out. He was simply completely lost in his thoughts. But then he thought that he should not give up on the things that he wanted earlier. Now, after he thought this, he thought of going for climbing a tree. He went to an olive tree and started climbing that. But he discovered that it was very difficult for him to climb a tree at that old age. And when he hung upon one of the lower branches, that branch broke off and he fell down on the ground. The passers-by who looked at him just were laughing at him, making fun of him, that at this age an old man is trying to climb a tree. Moreover, Sushil, when he went to his friends to play with him, his friends used to tell him to go away. His friends told him to go away because his friends did not want to play with an old man. His friends did not know that he actually was Sushil. So Sushil was not able to enjoy the things that he thought he will do if he becomes like his father. Also, the father who used to think earlier that had he been in his son's age, had he been like Sushil, he would have pored over his books, he would have read books with lot of attention. But when he became like Sushil, he had no desire to read books, he did not wish to study, he hated the books. right? He hated even the thought of going to school. When he was asked by Sushil to go to school, he also made excuses like his son, that he had stomach ache and all, and he didn't wish to do things that he wanted. Then also both Sushil and Subal were facing the problems physically. They did not have good health. Since Sushil became old, he used to suffer from rheumatism. He used to have terrible cold and cough. Whereas Subal, who was young like Sushil, but Sushil did not give him proper food. He was always hungry, but Sushil did not give him food because he knew that his father had digestive problems when he was old. So since he was not given proper food at proper time, he started losing weight. So they both were unhappy after they changed their ages. And then sometimes Sushil used to forget that he was an old man, and he used to comb his bald head, and then he ended up scratching his head, right? So all these were the problems that they used to face when they had changed their ages. And finally, in the end, they repented means they regretted, they did not want all that to happen. They soon realized that they were better when they were in their real ages. They sincerely, earnestly prayed to the goddess again that they have realized their mistake and they want to be back to their real ages. So the goddess again appeared and she asked them that if they were satisfied or not. So they told the goddess that they were completely satisfied, and they requested the goddess to change them back to the age that they were in before. So the goddess again granted them their wish, and she told them that next morning they will again be back to their real ages. So children, this is where the story ends, and the next morning when they wake up, they find themselves back to the real age, and they thought that they have just woken up from a bad dream. So read the story, children. Now let us have a look at the theme and the message that the story conveys. The theme of the story says that Tagore wants us to understand that we can't always get what we aspire for. And even if we do, we have to face bitter consequences. It's a regular notion among all that other people are in better situations than us, and we land up cribbing and complaining. Rather, we should learn to be happy and contented with what we have and not criticize about what we haven't got. We also need to realize that childhood is a special phase of life that should be enjoyed to its fullest. So with this beautiful theme, let us have a look at what message does the story try to convey to the readers. The message says the author wants to convey to the readers that the grass always seems greener on the other side. We always think that others are better than ourselves and we try to be like them, we try to copy them. But we end up learning the bitter truth the hard way. So, children, we should be ourselves, we should not try to compare ourselves with others. Right? So, with this, we end up the chapter. Read the story again and again. Everything has been very well explained in the class as well. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. See you all in the next class.